See it time and time again, guys. I say when you're in a consolidative move like this for such a long period of time, once you get the break and the bulls regain momentum, that momentum is backed up by volatility. We got the big break and we say, what a day makes in crypto, guys. Look at this big move here. How can we confirm the break? We look at the volume. Big volume spike confirming the breakout. So, what was previous resistance now flips support. So, how can you play this crypto.com trade with a high probability move, understanding where you can protect yourself and where this thing can really go? Right, crypto.com, is it fair value? Currently sitting at 10 cents. We've had this big break. This big break was significant after this long build of a price action. We want this to hold. Is it going to pull back to this level? That's the question, because we're creating a bit of a bull flag here. If we just delve into the 4 hour, you can see that a little bit more clearly. And you can see where the rejection point is here. This is the area that we need to break. This is the area that we need to close above. How do we know that? Because we got rejected once, we got rejected twice, we got rejected 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. That's going to be a key significant point that we need to break before we can continue upside on the trend. However, we have got a bit of wiggle room to the downside. If we pull back to this level here, what's that, guys? That's a support buy. All of this resistance, all of that resistance is put in a message, guys, that once that's broken, once all the stop losses of the bears have been hit here, you get the volatile move to the upside until we get to the next rejection level. When we get to the next rejection level, unfortunately, this is after the pumps happened, this is after the news happened, this is where everyone's interested, this is where the distribution phase happens until we pull back. Where are we looking to pull back to? 92 cents or 0.92 cents, should I say. So if price action pulls back to 0.92 cents, how can you play this, guys? Easy. If it pulls back to this level here, we know one thing. What is your risk? Preservation of capital is the key. You look after the risk, the reward will look after itself. So what that gives you, guys, is wiggle room. That gives you a reduction of risk, because if price pulls back to this level here, we know one thing. If we pull back into this consolidative range that's held as resistance for such a long period of time, that's when we're wrong, guys. So if you've got your stop loss down here below this low, what does that do to your risk to reward? Absolutely wrecks your capital. You will absolutely get wrecked as far as P&L is concerned. So be conservative, guys. We know this level needs to hold. You put your stop loss below this level. Where are you shooting for? Previous high, subject to what? Minimum of 2-to-1 risk to reward. If this pulls back to this level, guys, that's a 6.69 risk to reward. What happens if you take it now? Still protecting yourself below this level, 0.94 risk to reward, guys, less than a 50-50 chance. Do you want to be in anything where you've got less than a 50-50 chance? You might as well roll a dice, guys. You might as well flip a coin. So make sure that you wait until it comes back down to this key level and you get yourself a better risk to reward, understanding that this previous resistance, we want to flip as support. So what else can we look at? We can look at a couple of indicators to find out exactly where we are on the bigger picture. Look on the daily chart, and then we bring in the stochastic RSI. Now, what can you see here, guys? This coincides with what we've been talking about. Overbought, overbought. So we're at resistance. We're getting rejected at this resistance point. Stochastic and the RSI are telling us we're overbought. We need to pull back. What's price doing now? Price is pulling back. Where do we need to pull back to? The 0.092 level. Once we pull back to the 0.092 level, we want reset indicators, oversold, reset indicators, oversold. And then that has got a higher probability of holding support. You've reduced your risk. You've mitigated the trade, and then you can ride the reward up. Now, riding the reward up, we talk about trailing stop losses all the time, guys. How can you use the trailing stop losses to your advantage? Let's get rid of some of this. How can you use trailing stop loss to your advantage? Let's hypothetically pretend that this has pulled back now. So we've pulled back to this level and we're interested. This is where we're interested. You've got a minimum risk because we know that the risk's going to be under this previous resistance level. Then where are you shooting for, guys? When you zoom out, you're shooting for the previous high. Is it going to hit the previous high? We don't know that. How can you actually play this move until the end of the trend? What we're looking for, guys, is higher highs and higher lows. You pull back to this level, put in a higher high, you come back down, you put in a higher low. Now, this higher low is the significant point because once you continue to the upside, that is going to be your new protection zone. So you're in profit at this point. You've reduced your risk. In fact, you've diminished your risk. You've increased your reward. If price action at any point comes back down and does this, that means you're out in profit. However, the trend's your friend until the bend at the end. So you've got a higher probability of continuing with the trend, pulling back. What happens, guys, when you pull back? You put in a higher low, bam, to the upside. What does that do to your risk to reward? You bring it up, guys, below the higher low. Because ultimately, why do we put it below the higher low? Ultimately, once the higher low has been taken out, guys, the trend's reversed. That's your last ditch hope, that higher low. That's why you put your stop losses below the higher low. Once that's reversed, you want to be out in profit because the trend's reversed. Otherwise, you'll ride all that trade to the upside, and then you ride the trade all the way to the downside. So make sure that you manage your trade whilst you're in the trade. And that's what I'm looking for on CRO. I want this pullback to this support level, which was previous resistance at 0.09260, and then that's how I'm playing the trade. Let me know in the comments what you want me to cover next, guys. I've got Julian Crypto on the channel later on. Absolute alpha that he provides us. I will see you in the next one.